eyes. I thought, oh my goodness, he got that from the television program he was watching. And I had to explain to him, it's not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside that builds your character. So we do have to be careful that when you do have your children watch television, because you don't want to take everything away from them, explain to them what they're watching and ask them their perception of what they're watching and instill your values in them. Because don't take for granted that they're getting the same messages that you would get if you watch that same program.
That's the big mistake, that people aren't available to their children while they're watching to answer questions about what they're seeing when they have them right there, and clarify those things, because they start to think that they're right. And I think the internet's a little better because you can pick things, but you can really just pick and make yourself very focused and narrow-minded in many ways, and just pick that you just want to. And I have this problem because people get information and they think information is wisdom, and there's a journey between being informed and being wise. And they think that the internet just helps them. They watch somebody build the pyramids and they think they know how to build the pyramids. You know, I watched every episode of MASH. It was my favorite show. At no point did I think I was a surgeon, you know, and that's the difference. And that's dangerous because you have people that very often won't say, I don't know. Because they think they know because they saw it, but it runs out once the rubber hits the road in the real world, and they realize, I don't actually know how to do it. I've just seen other people do it.
Yes, it's so important to teach our children processes, techniques, and strategies as opposed to giving them the correct answer. You know, we want to give them tools so that they could make decisions and judgments on their own and get the correct answer when you're not around. So teaching them strategies, techniques, processes is what you should be doing. You know, I also want to add something. I was trying to think of, he is a brain expert, and I'm trying to think of what his name is. I referred him to somebody else, and his name is not coming to me, but he told me that children who watch more than or indulge in more than 2 pieces of technology in a day, the ability to learn decreases. That it stagnates their ability to learn more than 2 pieces of technology in a day. And he also told me that be careful of brain injuries. We think that, children recuperate very quickly from brain injuries. Not always the case. He said 51% of special needs students have had brain injuries that have not healed. And he said that they can heal, but make sure that they're in a room with no technology, nothing going on, no television, and have that brain heal. And he said, you know, in most cases, the brain will heal, but cut down on possible brain injuries when your children are growing up.
Well, that was going to be my next thing. How do you feel about, and if you redid this today, how big would the section on technology be? You know, how do you feel about not only children, but children become adults and young adults walking around, you know, with the blue-faced zombies?
I mentioned that in my book, that students who, technology has its benefits, but it also has its detriments. We want our children to be social and not forget that we should be developing our children to get along with other people, to interact with other people, to be social, because we are social creatures. And if they're only doing technology in a day and only playing with those games with themselves, that they miss out on that development. So bear in mind that interacting with your children, turn that technology off. Eat 1 meal a day, at least 1 meal a day with your child when that technology is off, and you're talking about your experiences, their experiences, how they're feeling about certain things. How do they feel about school? Who's their good friend? What good things are they proud about? What good things are frustrating to them? And you will find that a lot can be revealed through those conversations, but it's so important to have those conversations with your children to stay connected. That feeling of belonging is so strong. We talked about, Mark, earlier about why people run away and join cults. It's because they never had that feeling of belonging in the home. And we as individuals, we crave for that feeling of belonging, how we can fit in with other people. People join gangs for the reason of having that camaraderie, having that brotherhood, that sisterhood, that feeling of love, that connectiveness with somebody else. And it can go awry if we don't have it in our homes. And so parents realize that. I know we're working, it's difficult, we have to make a living, it's we have those bills, but consider that your children need to stay connected to you.
Well, these cults and these other things, they really just make up for any deficits, and they exploit them that we have in our own lives, and
Yes.
And they make themselves attractive, and gangs do to a degree too. And I was just talking to somebody. There was an incident with somebody running away. It was a cult, and the cult was talking about cults in Hawaii. And what an attractive place to have a cult. I mean, your cult would be a lot less successful if it were in Duluth,
Yeah.
If your cult's in Maui, I might want to go out and stay with the Maui cult for a week, see how it is. And it's just making itself attractive to fill deficits, because I really just don't think that people are keeping up with the job of parenting it. And it's a job.
Yes, it is. We parent normally the way we were parented. And that's why we see failure generational, because we parent the way we were parented. And the outcome is still the same. They say that the idea of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, if you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. So that's my purpose and passion, is to give parents an alternative, a different way of doing it, changing their lifestyle with just some simple things, interacting with your children, and you will see different results. When those young people who win spelling bees and are successful, and they're asked, how did you become so? How did you be able to do this? And what do they say? They say, my mother or my father went through the dictionary every day. We would go through the dictionary, and we would take different words, different numbers of words, and we would go over them, and they would work with me. We don't become who we are, successful human beings, without the help of somebody else.
That was the running joke. My father gave me the dictionary. That was the book, because he said it had all the other books in it. And he said, read the dictionary, read the Bible, start there. And I think we just don't. I see too many parents, and I know part of this is me being grumpy, but I see too many parents trying to be friends with their children and not being their children's protector, their children's champion. They're trying to be their buddy. And I think that makes it easier on the parent, but not on the child, and ultimately not on the parent, because they don't need a buddy. Their buddies are other people.
That's right.
I thought you might fight me on that one.
Oh, that's right. I totally agree. Now, I'm not saying that the parent has to be abusive. No way.
No.
But a friend is something different. We are the individuals who should be guiding, directing their lives, and encouraging them to go through the processes, as I was saying. Instead of giving your child that automobile, have your child go through a plan and a process to save up for that automobile, and show him or her what is needed to acquire it, what steps should be taken to get that automobile. Your registration, your insurance, what else is involved with it, the whole detail. Teaching your child what to do to be able to accomplish it. See, those are the transfer skills. We can transfer that to any other situation and acquire whatever we want to acquire, because we now have the process. We have the plan.
And they learn nothing when that car's in the driveway with a bow on it. They learn nothing.
That's right.
It's just there, and they think it's magic, and it's just there. And it's just too much of that going on. It's gotten, I think, too cushy. We've lowered the bar. You were telling me when we were talking out there that your husband was a paper boy. And when I hear somebody talking about being a paper boy. I feel like we're talking about serving in like the same division in the military or something. Because if you were a paper boy, I know what you went through. And this is before anything. This is before high school,
Yes.
typically. What a paper boy had to go through would be considered abusive nowadays, because you're going out of snow, towing cars.
That's true.
And
snow,
you didn't want to go, and your parents are saying, you got to go.
Yep.
People need their papers. And it was I loved the experience. I hated the job. And I think everybody should do it, but there's no job like that now. There's no job. When it snows, you don't see children coming around with shovels anymore.
Yes, I was so surprised at that. When I was a teacher, I would ask my students, who shoveled snow? Who made money that way? Not a hand would go up. I would say, oh, my goodness.
No, nobody does. And even the children in the houses aren't out shoveling the snow. It's usually, you look outside who's shoveling, it's usually grandma. It's like grandma shouldn't be shoveling.
That's right.
And
that's right.
It's gotten bad. And I don't understand how that gets rationalized within the house, that there's different jobs for different ages.
That's interesting, because I think parents don't realize that once they make that money, well, they know how to go out and get it, raking leaves, shoveling snow, doing all those things, going to the supermarket for neighbors. Then once they get that money, now you can teach them how to save, spend, teach them about the difference between their wants and needs, teach them about the law of supply and demand, when is the best to buy certain things. These are all lessons that are contextual, that they can teach them. But if they are not making any money, if they're just being given money, they can transfer your role to somebody else. I hear about grown men and women who complain about their man who doesn't want to do anything. They expect the wife to do everything for them. I was saying, look at their childhood.
Right.
You're just their new parent, who is giving them everything that their parent made. Parents, you're not doing your children any justice by not expecting anything from them. You must give them responsibility, teach them how to work. Laziness is learned. It's nothing wrong with having a part-time job and being able to balance their work schedule with their school schedule. Then they're able to do it in the future when they go to college. But you don't want to put too much on them. But we're not putting enough. We're not giving our children enough responsibility. That's what I've noticed.
It's my father used to say that my great grandfather was the laziest man ever born, and but he was at the stage of his life. He wasn't a young man. And we used to joke about it, but you have to earn your laziness, and people just want all the time. He would say that, because I said, well, what does he do? What's Pop do it? He says, so he teaches hound dogs to relax and test hammocks. Hammock tester. But he was elderly at that point, and that's what you do. You take it easy. People want to be lazy from the start now, out of the chute. And laziness, and what you say in the book, what the book talks about is, I don't think you can get rid of laziness, but people have to develop the strength of character to overcome it.
Yes, well, if you allow somebody to be it, that's what they're going to be. But if you give them the responsibility and also lead by example as well, just some chores. All young people in the house should have chores, and it's about contributing to where you are. When people grow up, and able to just live off somebody else, moochers. They were moochers all along. They were probably moochers their whole lives. Parents, don't let your children be moochers. They should be contributing to the household. They should be, helping you to cook, helping you to clean, helping you to upkeep the household. That teaches them how a household is run. These are all lessons.
Well, we're just about out of time for the regular show. We're going to do the after show. So anything else you want to bring up? I got a couple things I want to bring up. It's been great having you. Turnaround parenting tips for improving your child's academic success. It's